Hi friends, welcome back to the hillside. We're gonna harvest some herbs and we're gonna show you a few different techniques on how to preserve your herbs. I also want to touch on a few topics that I think is pretty important. I've been getting quite a few comments in my comment section of my other videos requesting me to comment on this topic, which I wasn't planning on doing, but because there's been such a demand for it, I think I might as well go ahead and give you guys my opinion. It is such a warm day here today. Not so much warm, but very humid. Now there's a big difference between warmth and humidity in my opinion. So today it's just really humid because we had rain last night. I wish we got a bit more rain, but hey, I'll take what I can get. A lot of the times the rain actually comes here and just goes right over us and we don't even get rain. So whenever we do get it, I'm always super happy about it. I'm gonna harvest some of these herbs here. I have some parsley. I might harvest some parsley, but I really want to harvest some oregano. I have some other oregano going to flower and seed in some of my other gardens, so I'm gonna harvest most of this. This is wild oregano that grows wild here in southern Ontario, Canada, and it was growing wild in my front yard, and I basically just ripped some of it out of the front yard and stuck it in this container here, and it's been growing so good. And now it's actually growing vertically, whereas when it was on the grass in the front yard, it was just growing horizontally and was staying really close to the ground. But once I planted it, you can see how tall and bushy and beautiful it looks. And that oregano smell is really nice. Oh, it smells so good. And it has a slightly different flavor than the store-bought oregano because it is a wild variety. So basically all I'm going to do is hold on to a few of these. And I'm going to cut about 2/3 of it back. And I'm going to leave about 1/3 of the plants in here. So let me get a close-up so you can see what I'm doing. All I'm going to do is grab a bunch. You can see how much it's in there. And I'm going to do about 2 or 3 of them at a time because they are kind of woody. I'm going to cut off this much. And I'm going to keep the flowers on there with them. You don't have to take those off if you don't want to. They have oregano flavor in them as well, so you can go ahead and harvest them. If you want to keep the seeds so that you can harvest some of the seeds, just let them grow, and by the end of the season you can collect the seeds in here. Right now the seeds aren't mature enough. I try to avoid a lot of politics on my channel. I try to keep it pretty homestead related because I want everyone to feel invited to my channel. But that brings me to my point about the movie The Sound of Freedom. Some of the homesteaders have actually come out against the Sound of Freedom movie, and I found that quite odd, and I'll give you a few reasons why I think that's kind of odd. As homesteaders, we usually don't get too involved in political debates or topics, so I try to stay away from talking about those type of topics. But I've been getting so many comments on my channel requesting my opinion. I feel like almost like I have to at this point, so that's why I'm going to give you my opinion on it. So the Sound of Freedom movie came out a little while ago, a few weeks ago, and it got actually some really good reviews. A lot of like-minded conservatives really supported the movie and supported the message that the movie was trying to send, because ultimately that's really all that matters, is the message behind the movie, the greater purpose of creating a movie like this. And that's exactly what I support. I support the purpose and the greater message, and just everything about the movie seems like something that most people, doesn't matter what you believe or where you're from or whatever, most people would support this movie because it is about protecting children, and that's our #1 task as adults, is to protect children, right? I am getting a lot of comments saying that some very predominant homesteaders are coming out against the movie, and I found that quite odd because the movie itself is a really good movie, and it has such a strong message that must be shared. It doesn't matter what you believe politically, just the fact that this movie is a movie about trying to protect children, I thought would be enough to unite everyone. But there are some people who simply just don't support the movie because I guess there are rumors going around about the creator of the movie and some of his background. I don't know about any of that. I didn't look into it because that's just not what I'm into. But what I am into is protecting kids. So anyone who comes out against the movie kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth, because if you don't want to protect children, what are you trying to do? If you don't want this movie to get out there and to be #1 at the box office, if you don't want everyone to watch this movie and take away the message of the movie, then what really is your point? the message of the movie is probably the most important message. Look at how much oregano I've harvested already. Okay, so I've given this thing an entire haircut now. You can see how it looks. I'll come back in probably 2-3 weeks and I'll do this again and harvest more oregano. I have oregano growing all over this property, so I don't really have an issue with having oregano. So what I'm gonna do is just hang this to dry, and then once it's dry, I really just crush it with my hands and put it in my spice jars and just label it wild oregano. So you can just hang this upside down, tie it up and hang it. You can also dehydrate this, or you can even freeze dry this. It won't take very long to freeze dry herbs at all. It's rather quick. Same with dehydrating. You can dehydrate them rather quickly in your dehydrator, but what I do is I just hang them and just wait for them to dry. I try not to put too much in one bunch because that'll take a little bit longer and I don't want it to create mold. So what I'll do is I'll probably open it up and create 2 little bunches like this, and then I'll hang them to dry. And once they're dry, you can just crush them up and put them in a spice jar and you'll have oregano. If you don't want to keep the flowers, you can just cut these off and throw them out, or you can just stick this in some water, pinch this off, and you can have a nice little oregano bouquet. It's really pretty. Okay, so I'm in the greenhouse and this is my Caribbean sweet peppers. These peppers are like nothing you've ever had before, and I mean that. I really will try to save some of these seeds so I can gift some of them to you guys. I'll probably add them to my online store if they get popular enough, but these peppers, the flavor is just to die for. I've never had peppers that tasted so flavorful in my life. I'm not even kidding. The bell peppers that I have growing don't even come close to the flavor profile of these peppers, and they're not even completely ripe yet. They're still pretty green. When I harvest some, I harvest like a handful at a time. I come back and it puts out even more flowers, so I feel like the more I harvest, the more they'll produce. So that's what I've been doing. I've been just harvesting a handful at a time, and I can toss it into my stir fries or into my food, whatever it is I'm making, and I can even chop and freeze them as well. So I'm gonna harvest just a few of these. You can see they're not huge yet. They are the most flavorful pepper. I would love for you guys to try one of these. Oh my goodness, it is so humid today. I should have put it in a ponytail or something, but anyhow, let's harvest some more of these really delicious peppers and we'll continue to talk. What I've heard really is that the creator of the movie has had something shady in his past. The whole thing about cancel culture is that people are going back in the day, back in time, trying to find something shady or something wrong that someone's done, and they're trying to cancel them or punish them for something that happened in the past. At the end of the day, none of us can control what happened in the past. None of us can control what we've done, what we've said in the past. So I'm not going to hold those things over someone's head. And so I don't want to practice cancel culture by saying that if someone did something in the past, or they were in a room with someone in the past, they were in a photo with someone in the past that I don't like or agree with, that I'm going to cancel that person in the present, because that's just not fair. And at the end of the day, this is a movie. The movie is separate from that person's personal life. And if they produce a movie that is really meant to be helpful, I will absolutely 100% support it. And I think all of us should, because this is a very important topic. It's a topic that doesn't get talked about too much because it is quite taboo. Because, I mean, no one really wants to talk about, you know, those things. And I'm trying not to use certain terms here because I want to keep this family friendly and YouTube friendly. So I'm trying not to say certain things and trying to just talk around it. Anyway, if there are any other homesteaders that you see that are just like coming out against the movie, I would think twice about supporting them. Not that you should not watch them, or everything they say is a lie or everything they say isn't true, but it's just if someone's coming out against something that is fundamentally important, for me it's a huge red flag. And fundamentally, protecting children is the most important job we have as adults and as parents. And so if someone produces a piece of art or a movie or something that's helpful for children, and it spreads the word about something horrible that's been going on with our children for decades, then I think that's a good thing. You know, and not everything has to be a conspiracy. Not every single person has ill will in their heart. Most people are doing things because they are trying to be a good person. Sometimes I feel that because we're not part of the mainstream, we think that everything we see is somehow a conspiracy, or there's some underlying theory that we need to figure out. But sometimes it's just what it is. It is what it is. Sometimes, you know, somebody sees an important topic and they make a movie about it, and that's just what it is. Maybe there isn't a huge conspiracy about the person who produced the movie, and maybe they're into that as well. And you know, I like a good conspiracy. I had a channel that was all about conspiracies before YouTube banned it, but I don't see a conspiracy in every single thing, because if you get too overly involved in conspiracies, it really does debilitate your life. It ruins relationships, friendships, family dynamics, and it really does alienate you from a lot of the things that you shouldn't be alienated from. And a lot of the theories that I've heard about the creator of the movie aren't even substantiated. They're just theories. They're just things people are saying. There's no proof. And when I make a video on my channel, if I don't provide proof, then I get called out all the time. So I'm not going to listen to some random person simply because there was a picture of the creator that with somebody that has some shady background. I just don't go that far with my conspiracies. And for me, I will support this movie just to prove a point, that the message is the most important point. It's not about the people. Leave that all behind. It doesn't matter. The movie itself is meant to be good, right? I mean, what else could they possibly have done to make the movie that they made? Well, anyhow, guys, I think I'm going to take this stuff in, process these, just freeze them. Just gonna slice them up, freeze them. I'm gonna take the seeds out because I noticed that the seeds have a little bit of heat. It's so mild though, it's like barely anything. The tops of the peppers are super sweet, and then the bottom where the seed starts, a little bit of heat. So I'm gonna take the seeds out, slice and freeze them so I can just toss them in when I want. And then these are gonna get hung to dry, and then I'm just gonna crush them and put them in my spice jar. Very simple. I try not to make my preservation methods difficult, because the more equipment and the more difficulty it is, it's just, I don't even want to do it if it becomes too overwhelming. Chop, blanch and freeze, or dry. Those are usually what I like to do, especially all of my peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, those type of things. I just like to freeze them. And I also will pickle some cucumbers, but I really just like to slice and freeze my cucumbers and toss them into my dishes whenever I'm ready. And then for my peppers, I really just blanch them for like a minute, chop them and freeze them. Same with most of my vegetables. I really like frozen vegetables. I don't like a lot of canned foods. No one in my family really likes canned foods either. Sorry, there's a truck backing up on the street there. Okay, the truck stopped. All right, so just gonna harvest a few of my Hungarian wax peppers as well. Most of these veggies, the more you harvest, the more they'll produce. So don't be shy and harvest them. Even if some of them are a little bit on the smaller side, it'll just encourage the smaller ones to get bigger for you. And I'm not gonna mention any names about the people that came out against the movie, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Alright guys, well, I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna go make some lunch and feed my chickens, check on my goats, and do all of the other tasks I have to do around here. So make sure you guys come back to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Go ahead and like the video though, it really does help me out. And if you found this helpful, make sure you go ahead and share it on social media. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay peaceful. Bye.